Hello, I am Danielle, and I am your Divine Soul Empress. So this is my first show today. So I'll give you a little bit of background about kind of how I got started, what it is I do, and then I'm going to hopefully take some calls. So let's get started, I guess. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. So I've done a little bit of radio before. I recently moved about a year ago and started really getting into my different avenues of energy work. So I read tarot. I don't know what you guys can see because it's kind of hard for me to see, but I read, and I know this is going to be on radio too. And so I read tarot cards, and and I read a little differently than other readers. So I often say that I read the truth of the soul, because I read the subconscious. Our subconscious is, of course, where our soul lies, and that's what creates our energetic field and our aura. So when you sit down at my table, or video or text or whatever, I'm able to get your question or just get information from spirit. And these wonderful cards are the ones that give me quite a bit of information, and then we talk about it and go from there. I also do Reiki, so I'm a Reiki practitioner. I also read chakras, so I do Reiki chakra readings, and that's where I go in and I read the chakras for any blockages and things like that. And then as I'm doing it, I also go through and clear any stagnant energy, kind of get things moving in there, and kind of figure out why those blockages are there, depending on which blockage. Afterwards, we have a conversation about the different blockages you have and why, so that we can come to resolution and you can heal those chakras. So I did just get a deck. Interesting enough, we have these stores in my area called Five Below. So I just got this deck today from Five Below. It's a chakra deck, and it had some other stuff in it, which is really good, but I really like these cards. There's several cards pertaining to each chakra, just the difference in different imbalances that you can have and things like that. So everything energy, I'm an energy worker, I guess I would say. I am also a psychic. So I don't need the cards, but of course, I love using them. The Reiki is wonderful too. It's very powerful. So those are kind of my avenues that I'm doing right now. I also make these wonderful different candles. They're called tarot candles. So I don't know if you guys can see, because I can't really, I can't really see that much. Like I said, it's just really small. And I know some of you on the radio, I gotta remember that. So I also make these different tarot candles. So I have different candles corresponding with different tarot cards. So like this is a sun. So this card is infused with herbs and essential oils. And I also infuse it with Reiki at the end. I infuse every batch with Reiki for intent for the candle to be used to the highest good. To intentions, I fuse it with the intention that the candle your intentions will reach your highest good. So that way, no matter what you are trying to do, working with the candle, you're able to get that extra Reiki boost with it. They are very powerful. Candles are essentially an extension of me, because they are the Reiki. So like the sun candle, it has different herbs and essential oils to help you, so a lot of people usually get like the moon candle and the sun candle, because the moon candle is about exposing a lot of our truths, because the moon brings light to the dark. So the moon candle is good about bringing up a lot of truths and a lot of things that we often hide from ourselves. And then the sun candle is good. Once you start that clearing process and the healing process, the sun candle is good to come back around and just infuse your home, infuse your, meditation, yoga, whatever, with these wonderful, happy thoughts of care and concern. So each candle that I have several, coordinate with something that's good. And they coordinate also with the actual tarot cards. So like the Magician card is good for manifesting, the Magician candle. And so we also have like the High Priestess. So she's really good with her herbs and essential oils work really well with like gaining your intuition and learning your intuition and strengthening it. So that's kind of my next phase. I just debuted these over the weekend, and luckily I almost sold out of them. So they're going to be in several stores in my area. I'm also, and hopefully in some other areas around too as well, especially in Texas and Virginia. So that's just a little bit about what I do. So I'm do a lot of things besides that. Just regarding like spiritual counseling, I do intuitive workshops to help you learn your intuition, to help you gain a better understanding of self, because that's where our intuition comes from. And so that's what I do. I also do a wonderful intro to tarot class and intro to Reiki. The intro to Reiki is basically just kind of getting better understanding of Reiki and what it's about, and then just how you can coordinate the use of chakras and kind of become a chakra reader as well while you're doing Reiki, to help the person really get everything that's going on in there, because there's so many different things. We usually touch so much of science and medical and all of that right now really only touches the direct issue and not the actual cause of the problem. So what I do is I'm a little deeper than that. So I go in and I help kind of bring up all those unresolved issues that are kind of keeping you from getting to the life that you want, especially once you get on this spiritual journey and you're kind of starting, because I call this spiritual journey the awakening, I call it conscious awareness of self. So you basically are living a life as your conscious mind, which is ego. And your ego wants to keep you safe, so it often keeps you in this comfort zone. Well, your soul, your subconscious is often the one trying to get you out of the comfort zone. So, excuse me. So oftentimes when we're in the ego state, we don't even understand it until we become, until we have our awakening, which is the conscious awareness of self. So then we become aware of our subconscious, our soul, and our true desires. So once we start on that journey, a lot of our old ego beliefs are actually connected to our societal condition and our childhood conditioning, and then the labels that we attach to it incorrectly, just so that we could protect ourselves, because that's what our conscious mind does once it keeps us safe. So all of these things are in our subconscious, and most of our lives we are spent suppressing them, which causes us to have all these chakra blockages, causes us to have all these health issues, different things like that, because our body is trying, which is really our soul, is trying to make us feel that there's something wrong. And so oftentimes if we hold too much energetic, I would say conflict, because we have like our conscious mind and our soul, and they're oftentimes at war until we become aware, then we have the issues that we have with different medical issues and things like that. And so different back pains, headaches, different things like that can all be associated with just not following our true purpose, not listening to our calling, not following our path. And then it creates this conflict between our conscious mind and our subconscious mind that we live out every day. So just to get a snippet, sorry, got sidetracked. Just to get a snippet of what I do, that's what I do. So I always tell people, especially this past weekend at my event with the full blue moon we had, it was very eye-opening. And so what I do is I bring the subconscious to the conscious, because once you understand what's truly in the subconscious and you bring it to the conscious, Now you become consciously aware of it. So now your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are actually going to start working together to come to a solution. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you have any different ailments or anything like that that you often can't get rid of, and you've been trying different therapies or things like that, I'm definitely someone that you would want to look into to dive a little bit deeper into your truth. So it looks like I already have a caller already. It's Leanne from Los Angeles.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay. Not the happiest this week.
Oh, that's right. So you were calling to get a reading. This is a show. So this is my first show on the air. So you're calling to get a reading today?
Okay.
So you're
here's
sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I've been very emotional these days. Usually I'm calm, but this week, last couple of weeks, I'm a little emotional. I think I'm having some issues with human relationships again, and I felt like I was doing much better with people, but then the same problem came back and it hit me very hard this week. I always felt like I was either invisible or annoying people. I don't even have to say anything to aggravate people, but somehow like I just naturally repel people, and I'm like, literally, I'm alone. I have like no one to talk to. I don't even have I have no one around me right now. And I'm taking classes online, and I still feel very isolated. I got into trouble with the school staff. They mistreated me. It was very unfair, and I was kind of hurt last couple of days. Um, I just don't fit in anywhere. And I learn not to care about these things, and I learned not to take anything personally. But like not having good relationship with people is kind of inconvenient. And and the most importantly, I kind of noticed yesterday that I felt like my energy um, is. I think it's pushing my son away from me too, and that kind of hurt me. I think it is making him suffer without knowing why he having hard time having good relationship with me, and that starts to bother me. I mean, I did a lot of healing on these issues, but nothing really changed, and I don't really know what to do anymore.
Right. And I can definitely understand. How old's your son?
He's 19 and a half.
Okay. So a couple of things. So one of the key things you mentioned is that for one, your energy. So let's talk about that. So I just mentioned that we just had our full blue moon on Halloween. So the energy for the last month or two, especially for the last month, has been very intense. We also had a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Scorpios often tend to not deal with their feelings. They tend to hide them, hide them away, and pretend to not care or to not feel. And so when you say that you learned to not care, what you're really saying is that you learn to not feel when you felt this way. So you try to ignore how you were feeling as to suppress it. So you wouldn't feel lonely, so you wouldn't feel sad and things like that. But this is the thing that everyone this is the thing that everyone has to kind of understand when it comes to relationships and things like that. You describe relationships with others, but every healthy relationship starts with a healthy healthy person in it, right? So what do you do for yourself? How do you support yourself? How do you, what's your relationship with self? You've mentioned that you've healed some issues, but you are really suppressing the real reason why you feel as if you are not good enough for other people, and that's because you feel that you're not good enough for self. That is your underlining thing that you have to understand. And once you are able to pull that understanding to the surface, you're able to acknowledge it and then figure out why you feel that way. And those feelings are often attached to our childhood and just the dynamics of the way we were raised and the different way that our parents treated us. They were, of course, they had their own situations, their own things going on in their time. So they often couldn't give us the mental understanding of self. So when something happened as a child, we often, something happened to us, we often turn that inward. And we blame ourselves and we think, well, we're not good enough. Even if it's a horrible situation, we turn that in ourselves and we feel like we're not good enough, we're not worthy. Our parents are arguing because we're not worthy. My parent is hitting me because I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough for love, I've done something wrong. We accept them and love them still, but as a child, we don't love ourselves. So to get over this ideal that you have to be more than who you are for someone else, you have to understand that you are exactly who you're meant to be for you, and you have to love you. So to seek the relationships that you desire, you have to really sit with self and make sure that you are giving self what it is that you desire. Sorry, that was a lot to take in, if that makes sense. But that's kind of how you have to navigate the shift. So your question was really, really good. So what I'm going to do is I have these chakra cards. I just got these. They're chakra wisdom cards. I got them from a store called Five Below. But I'm going to shuffle them and I'm going to pull you a card and then I'm going to read it because this is a good starting point for you to be able to kind of figure out how to move forward by acknowledging a lot of things that impacted who you are today. And by acknowledging them, you can actually then make conscious decisions to change them. But we have to accept ourselves for a lot of the things that happened when we were children because we internalized it and we punish ourselves all the time. So we go out and seek relationships that confirm that we're not worthy instead of proving our worth, because subconsciously we don't feel worthy. And so once we get to the root of that, we can actually start loving ourselves, and that instantly changes our aura, and that instantly changes the things that we do on a regular basis just by getting up every day and loving yourself. So let's see, you got 2 chakra cards. You got the third eye chakra, knowledge, and you got the crown chakra, bliss. So you got the third eye chakra, knowledge. I recognize that a great deal of knowledge and information comes to me in the form of intuition, such as clairvoyance, clairaudience, and hypersensitive feelings. I use my intellect combined with my intuition to delve into circumstances from a physiological and spiritual viewpoint. Sorry about that. I aim to understand the truth behind situations that come my way, as this helps me to respond with wisdom. I cultivate positive beliefs about life, myself, and others. So that definitely corresponds. I cultivate positive beliefs about life, myself, and others. So think back to what you've been thinking about all week, all month, even, and when you do that, assess how much of that has been positive. Assess how much of that has been supporting you. Assess how much of that is you supporting you, you loving you. you doing self-care and making sure that you're okay. You also got the crown chakra, which is bliss. I seek and find peace, quietness, and moments of bliss in my life. I am persistent in this quest. I allow myself to feel divine presence radiating within and around me. I allow myself to create abundance and fulfillment and live a life free of fear. Meditation is a part of my life. So if you aren't meditating, of course, this is calling for you to meditate. Sometimes when we spend a lot of time alone, and we don't love ourselves how we should, our mind can overthink, and it can, you may start getting headaches because you have a lot of third eye and crown chakra stuff going on here. And so you might start experiencing headaches. You probably aren't sleeping very, very well either because you have, you honestly aren't trusting in yourself enough because you know that there's healing that you need to do. You know that there's acceptance of self that you need to do, but you're but you're not listening due to the fear of it. Because once we bring those feelings from the subconscious to the conscious, now we actually have to feel them. But that's what we've been avoiding all this time, and that essentially has created the life around us. So if you look back, you'll probably see that your relationships with people were bad relationships because essentially you didn't feel worthy. So what you may do when you don't feel worthy and you're afraid that someone, you prevent people from getting close to you. And when someone does get close to you, you may push them away in different subtle ways without really knowing that's what you're doing. Because if you push them away before they can leave you, then it's like you're controlling the situation because of fears of abandonment and things like that. And that could be very well if you had a parent that didn't come around when you were a child. That can very well make you feel as if you're abandoned, which means that they don't really love you, they don't really care about you. Then that impacts your self-worth. Like, why aren't I worthy of their love? Why aren't I worthy of their attention? And so it creates this subconscious ideal of self that you play out for the rest of your life until you understand it. And that's what you're starting, because you got knowledge and you got bliss. So that's what you're starting to work on, but you have to stop letting the fear control your truth. Your truth is your power. And it's trying to come out, but you know, we don't want to deal with things that hurt us. You know what I mean? So, but it's coming. You just have to acknowledge the things that you don't want to. Sorry to say it like that, but that's usually what it comes down to, acknowledging the things that we don't want to. And once you actually meditate on the things that and how they're all attached to how things triggers now, relationships now are just cycles of relationships that you saw as a child and people probably had with you. You'll be able to accept it, and by acknowledging it and accepting it, then you can start healing it and consciously making different decisions moving forward.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I thought I did a lot of work on myself, but I guess there are a lot subconsciously left over. And I was like this since I was so young, so I think it has something to do with past life also.
Right. So just dive there, because everything, interesting enough, our triggers now are basically just things from our childhood. They're actually suppressed. They're triggering suppressed emotions in our subconscious. That's why they're there, because they're to trigger those emotions so we can heal them. And then we have all these triggers, and we spend our life not truly understanding that that this situation is actually a repeat of our connection with someone, or this situation is actually a repeat of a cycle that we saw growing up, because our parents didn't know any better, and a lot of people didn't. So there's a lot of different things that impacted us subconsciously that we didn't know. So like you said, you know what it is. All you have to do now is just really start meditating and start embracing and connecting how they are connected. But I appreciate you calling and allowing me to answer your question today. I hope that I helped. And I think we're going to go to the next caller in like 30 seconds. Not sure. Oh, there's 20 seconds left in the show. Wow. I'm almost done already. I did not know that. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for calling in. And I hope that if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm Divine Soul Empress. On Instagram, I am Divine Soul Empress. I am divine_soul_empress. And I have a website, divinesoulempress.com. So I appreciate you guys allowing me to talk with you today. I talked the whole time. I'm so sorry for that. Next time I'll take 2 callers and I'll get out my cards a little bit more so you guys can see how I work.